works.
Yeah, there
Tim,
you go.
Tim, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, so just real quick while we're admitting everybody in, we do, because the amount of people we're going to have on the call, you all are going to be muted, just to make sure that we respect everyone's really, time on here. We don't want to get out of control. There will be a question and answer at the very end. During this process, learn about the program. You can raise your hand at the end. We'll maybe unmute you, or there's a chat option, and you guys can put your questions inside the chat as well, and we'll help out. So I do got a couple more people coming in, but it's 11:02, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Are you ready, Mark?
Yes, sir. Let's get rocking and rolling.
Cool. All right. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Tim Hart with Van Dyke Mortgage. See a lot of familiar faces on there, so good to see some of y'all. This call is for realtors mainly, and Van Dyke Mortgage here, my branch, and then some other ones outside of our branch invited realtors they know. So just keep in mind that this is a Van Dyke Mortgage kind of specific presentation. And we got Mark on to talk about Florida Housing Hometown Heroes. And this is a program that we're really excited about, super fired up. And before we let Mark rip, because he's going to
Tim, you got muted. You got unmute your mic.
I'm the host and I just muted myself. Huh?
Been there, done that, brother.
What do you know? Listen, I'm not the smartest guy here. All right. So what I was going to say was there's two things I really want to make sure that everyone's aware of. When this program came out June 1st, this is down payment assistance for what they consider heroes. And Mark's going to get into all that. I can tell you from the sales side, we have seen tons of inquiries. All right. So like when you're listening to Mark with this program, and he's going to tell you all about it, you're going to want to listen, learn, share this with your database, share this with the people that maybe have connections in the police officer, firefighter, nurses, veterans, etc. Because I'm telling you, a lot of people are asking about it. A lot of people need it. And it's an amazing program. That's part one. And part two of this is I want to make sure y'all know that with Van Dyke Mortgage, we can actually fully underwrite this program without them being under contract. So the Van Dyke Mortgage loan officer that invited you can have your borrower not only pre-approved, but while they're out looking, have them completely underwritten and approved. That way, when you go to make that offer, it'll help get accepted. They've already been underwritten and approved. We call them as the lender, tell them how great they are and everything else, and tell them they've been underwritten and approved, and it helps their offer get accepted. It's way less stressful. So I want to make sure I told you guys that. So ask the loan officer that invited you all about it as well. Mark, I think I'm done talking. Are you ready?
Yes, sir. Let's get going.
All right, brother. I gotta. You should be able to share your screen and run with it. And this presentation he's giving everybody, we will be able to email it to you when the presentation is over. We have all your information. Okay, so we'll send it out to you.
Great. And Tim, thanks for inviting me. And good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Pease. I'm the business development manager for Florida Housing Finance Corporation. And again, we're going to learn about Hometown Heroes. Just to let you know, as Tim said, the product rolled out on June 1st. And I'm going to give you some numbers, let you know how quickly this has evolved with the number of reservations we have and the down payment assistance reserved. I got that in the slide here as well. But this is your presentation to ask questions. I will stay here online as long as you guys have questions coming in, and I'll try to answer every question that we have. So get started. We found a quote from Dean Cain. He was the actor that played Superman on Lois and Clark. He said, "Real heroes don't wear capes. Real superheroes wear uniforms." All right. And badges and stethoscopes. Real superheroes are members of our military, law enforcement, and first responders. Well, pretend superheroes, they wear capes. And what a great quote to use, especially with what we've been through in the last couple of years. So this entire Hometown Heroes program is for those superheroes that we will have mentioned here later. The very first thing that we all have to understand is whether, in the state of Florida, there's 3 levels of down payment assistance. You have your city programs, your county programs, you have your state programs. Matter of fact, there's a state house and finance agency. That is what Florida Housing is. We are your state house and finance agency, but there's a state house and finance agency in every state in the United States, as well as Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. And we all have to follow this IRS definition of a first-time home buyer. So when you first talk to these buyers coming in, the questions are basically this definition. So one, they do not own the home they currently live in as their primary residence, because obviously if they are a current homeowner and they live in that property, they would not be considered a first-time home buyer. Number two, if your buyer owns a mobile home, but the mobile home is on rented lot or land, the IRS declares them as a first-time home buyer, which is pretty cool. Number three, this is where it kind of gets confusing. I'm going to read it to you and put it in terms we can understand. So the IRS says that the buyer has not owned and occupied a primary residence within the past three years. So a couple examples. Husband inherits properties from the parents. Let's say it's a cabin in North Carolina. Can that husband and his wife go up to the cabin in North Carolina, spend a week or two vacation up there? Absolutely. As long as they've never lived in that property as their primary residence for the past 3 years. Example number two, husband and wife. Wife was previously divorced. In the divorce, she got a townhome. She has had that townhome rented for the last 4 years. So the statement is simple. Your buyer can own a property as long as they've never lived in that property as their primary residence at any time in the past 3 years. They are considered a first-time home buyer. Well, Mark, this is awesome because, see, I have a buyer. They have 3 investment properties. They've never lived in any of those investment properties as their primary residence at any time in the past 3 years. They would qualify, right? Unfortunately not, because at the time of closing, your buyer can only own 2 properties. The one that they currently own that they have not lived in as their primary residence in the past 3 years, and the one that they're purchasing, which they must occupy as their primary residence within 60 days. Well, Mark, I have a buyer that has this immigration status. What do you guys look for that goes? So the IRS says the buyer must be able to permanently reside in the U.S. So we follow FHA, VA, USDA, Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac guidelines on how they look at residency status. So that is the IRS definition that the city, the county, and the states, we all follow this definition to define a first-time home buyer. Well, effective June 1st, as I already mentioned to you, the Hometown Heroes program makes housing affordable for eligible frontline workers, educators, police officers, healthcare providers, childcare, firefighters, nurses, and military personnel. So we're going to talk about the military personnel and their exception here in a moment, and others by providing down payment and closing cost assistance. So the funds that are in this program, matter of fact, the funds in all of our programs can be applied towards down payment and closing costs to qualified home buyers. The Florida Hometown Heroes Loan Program offers a lower first mortgage rate and additional special benefits. So, for example, with our program, all of our programs, the buyer is exempt from doc stamps on the mortgage and intangible tax, which is a savings to them. And that's not just for Hometown Heroes, it's for all of our programs. And so additional special benefits to those who currently serve their communities and those who have served and continue to serve their country. Well, there is when I started the presentation with the realtors, we did twice a day for 8 days, starting on May 31st, and we had 54 occupations at that particular time. Now we're over 100 occupations, and so I'm going to show you where to go to look at those occupations. And again, as we receive communication back from the state, there are additional occupations that we're going to go over as well. So the original occupations that were provided to us were like, well, I wonder how many eligible employees are out there in these occupations. And we totaled over $3 million. That was way back in the beginning. It's not $3 million, 3 million people. That includes 1.5 for veterans. And we did have a program called Salute Our Soldiers that ended on May 31st. And so veterans, besides these eligible occupations, are rolled into this program. So as I just mentioned to you, veterans, and the IRS actually gives an exception to that first-time homebuyer definition that we went over. So if you have a veteran whose discharge status is anything other than dishonorable, they have a permanent exemption as a first-time homebuyer. Active duty military as well, Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, Navy, National Guard of Reserves. If you have a surviving spouse of a deceased veteran, they are also eligible, but for a VA loan only. So the veterans and their spouses are exempt from the first-time homebuyer requirement. What does that mean? Well, remember I said to you guys that the buyer must meet this IRS definition of a first-time homebuyer, right? So what this means is that at an exemption, your buyer, if they're a veteran, they can own a property currently, or they can own a property in the last 3 years and lived in it as their primary residence, and they are exempt from this requirement. So, but the only thing that you need to remember is the property they are purchasing must be their primary residence. They must occupy it within 60 days. And at the time of closing, they cannot own more than 2 properties. So a veteran is an exception to that first-time homebuyer requirement. Now, when it comes to the Hometown Heroes program, I'm trying to use the analogy of a bicycle seat for 2, because in the front seat are all those who are in these eligible occupations. And those that meet this eligible occupation, they must be working full-time in that occupation, and they must hold a license or certification for that occupation. And in the back seat are veterans, okay? So there's 2 different groups of people who qualify underneath the Hometown Heroes. And let me, 1 second here. I set my keyboard aside, so I apologize for that. But we're going to go back to where we were before. Now, the down payment assistance is available anywhere in Florida. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know this, the biggest myth that we had, I started in July of 2019. Chip White was my boss. Chip goes, Mark, you're going to find out the Florida housing is the state of Florida's biggest secret, because we get calls every single day from buyers who go, I just talked to a realtor, or I just talked to a loan officer, and they told me there's no down payment assistance available in Florida. And I'm on the internet and I find you guys. And so the answer is, well, they're incorrect, because a lot of the real estate agents don't know that Florida Housing is our state housing finance agency. They don't know that our source of funding is different. The city and county, they may receive SHIP funds, but here at Florida Housing, we have a different set of funds, including, we have the Hometown Hero funds that are coming in. But we always have down payment assistance available 365, 24/7. The down payment assistance is available in any city or any county in the state of Florida. And if you're dealing with a buyer in which the buyer is told, you know what, I'm sorry, but the occupation that you hold is not an eligible occupation. Well, Tim and the entire Van Dyke team will tell you we have other down payment assistance that is available. All right, so we were provided $100 million in down payment assistance funds from the state of Florida. I actually just added this. I quickly grabbed the number. This is as of Friday. In 3 weeks, we are up to 335 reservations, totaling $4.8 million out of that $100 million in down payment assistance funds. The average down payment assistance that is being received is $14,700. And if we take $100 million divided by $14,700, we're talking about 6,800 families are going to be able to take advantage of this program and purchase a home. And that's pretty cool as far as that goes. All right, so let me go to the next slide. The down payment assistance under Hometown Heroes is 5% of the total loan amount, not 5% of the sales price, 5% of the total loan amount, and it cannot exceed $25,000. Now, I'm getting into a little bit of some of the loan officer stuff, but we have in our program, your buyer must get the first mortgage with Florida Housing in order to receive the down payment assistance. Well, our first mortgages, we have bond loans. You guys have probably heard about bond loans. And then we also have a non-bond loan product. We call that our TBA product, the bond alternative. The difference between the bond loan and the TBA is that the TBA product is more flexible. So the loan officers underneath the bond loan, well, they must consider the income of everybody over the age of 18, just like a USDA loan. But on our TBA product, we have a lot of flexibility. The income limits are higher. The purchase price limits are higher. And the loan officer, if you have a husband and wife, and let's just say the husband and wife make 1 penny more than the income limit for the program in the county the property is located at, that loan officer can remove a borrower off that application. Because on the TBA product, we're not looking at household income, we're only looking at the income that is on the application. So husband and wife earning 1 penny more, the loan officer can remove one of the bars off the application in order to get them below the income limits and qualify for the down payment assistance. Well, Mark, if they remove a bar off the application, isn't their purchase power reduced? Well, yes, it is, because we only can use the income that remains on the application for the purchase, but now they qualify for down payment assistance and they may not otherwise. So the TBA product, the fact that this whole Hometown Heroes is under our TBA side, again, is important because it's going to qualify more buyers. The programs that are available: FHA, VA, USDA, Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac, just like we normally have with every other program. The cool thing is that, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they actually came out with, these specific programs for the housing finance agencies. They call it the HFA Fannie Mae Preferred and the HFA Freddie Mac Advantage. And you all know that if a buyer doesn't have 20% to put down, well, they have to pay mortgage insurance. And the cool thing under this HFA Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac product is if your buyer makes less than 80% of the area median income, they will qualify for something they call Charter MI. And Charter MI is a discounted mortgage insurance premium that makes the mortgage insurance payments less. So, Tim and the entire Van Dyke team say, hey, Mark, just to let you know, the Smith family, we just pre-qualified. Well, they're pre-qualified for $250,000. And then maybe Tim's going to call you back the next day and go, hey, I found out that they qualify for Charter MI now because the mortgage insurance payment's cheaper. Excuse me. Now they can qualify for $260,000. You don't have to worry about this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just trying to give you some of the terminology that you may not have seen in other programs if you're not familiar with the down payment assistance industry as far as that goes. All right, so the income limits that we have available, it is 150% of the area median income for all counties. And as a reminder, just as I just mentioned to you, that we only look at the income of those that are on the application, which is known as the 1003 form. We're going to come back later to talk about loan limits as far as that goes. All right, and let me clear this out. I only use Zoom not that often, so I'm not a Zoom expert as far as that goes, but I'm getting better as the day goes by. All right, so once again, 5% of the total loan amount as the down payment assistance. It is capped at $25,000. If the other statement to give to you, how we normally have the seller maximum contributions, FHA, USDA is 6% and VA is 4% and Fannie Mae's 3% and Freddie Mac's 3%. Do any of these down payment assistance products impact that? No, they don't. So if you can get your buyer to get the seller to pay some of the closing costs and then receive the 5% of the total loan amount capped and there's excess of funds available, well, the loan officer is going to reduce the mortgage amount, which will reduce the loan to value, which will reduce the mortgage payment for the buyer. Now, the down payment assistance, it is a loan, okay? It is recorded as a second mortgage. The term is 30 years, okay? There is no interest charged. So if your buyer received $25,000 today, they won the lottery on Saturday, they wanted to pay it off, they just pay back $25,000. Whether it's Monday, next month, next year, 10 years, 20 years, okay, whatever it may be, they will never be charged a penny of interest. Now, there's no monthly payments required, okay? They are not required to make a monthly payment on this program. However, during the 30-year term, if they sell, if they refinance, if they transfer the deed, or if they turn the property into a rental property, then the down payment assistance is due back. When it's paid back into the program, do you know what we do with those funds? We turn around and lend them right back out again. Well, Mark, what if they have the first mortgage and they pay off the first mortgage? What happens then? Because we're 30 years later. then the down payment assistance is due. It's basically a balloon at 30 years. Now, I served as a mortgage manager at different credit unions for 19 years. And so your buyer, even though they're not required to make a monthly payment, they can make payments on this. So if they receive $25,000 and you divide it by 360 payments, because it's a 30-year loan, if they pay, I believe it's $69.44 a month, they will have this paid off in 30 years. However, having working at the credit union, we tell the credit union members, well, should you be making any extra payments on this mortgage if you have a 4% car loan or 20% credit card? No, you pay off the credit card first, you pay off the car loan, then come in, make payments. Okay. So once again, one of the biggest thing, even though we've done lender training and I've done realtor training, we're still hearing out there, oh, we're told this was forgiven. And ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to down payment assistance, you have grants. Grants are forgiven at the time of closing. You have forgiveness, where percentage is forgiven over a time period. So for example, we have another down payment assistance called our Plus that is forgiven over a 5-year period or 20% a year. You have deferred. That's what this is, deferred, where it's deferred until one of these actions here happens or the loan matures. And the final one is a payment, an actual loan. And we have another product called our Florida Help that is a loan. It's 3% for 15 years. The payment's $69.06 a month. But anyway, just to let you know, so we are clearing out this myth that's been out there since we started this. This is a loan and it is not forgiven, and it is a deferred loan. Okay. And let me go ahead and erase all my John Madden sketches here that I got going on. All right. And next slide. So if you're familiar with our program, there is actually 3 different changes. All right, that normally that the loan officers didn't have to deal with. One is the buyer must sign what we call an attestation form. I'll show you what that is in a second. Number 2 is we need a copy of their license and certification. Okay, this is not their Florida driver's license. We actually got one package in which somebody sent in the Florida driver's license. No, it is the license or the certification for the occupation that they hold that is an eligible occupation. So if you were a teacher, you receive a teacher certification. We need a copy of that current active license or certification. So as a real estate agent, what can you do to help Tim and the entire Van Dyke team? As soon as you find out your buyer is trying to get into Hometown Heroes, let them know they must get their license or certification and hand it over to Tim and his team immediately. Now, Tim and his team, they have always obtained a verification of employment. We've never asked for this documentation, but we are in this program. So the verification of employment is sent to the employer. Okay, so if you're a teacher, it's going to go to the school board. The HR department at the school board fills out the verification of employment and sends it back to Tim. Now, the employee, Tim can't give it to the employee. Tim's got to send it to the employer. Now, the verification of employment from the county school board must say they are working full time. Well, Mark, do you guys determine what full-time is? Is it 40 hours a week? No, we just need to make sure that the verification of employment signed by the employer states that the buyer is working full-time. Some employers, they consider 36 hours full-time. My wife was a teacher, says they work 40 hours. No, she works 60 hours. But anyway, the statement is this: verification of employment must come back signed by the employer saying they work full-time. So the attestation form, which I'm going to show you in a second, that Tim and the Van Dyke team will have your buyer sign, and you can help them to make sure that buyer gives that license or certification up to Tim up front immediately. Okay, and we will go to the next slide here. So this is a copy of the certificate as a teacher certificate. Now let me go ahead and address the statement for these eligible occupations. Your buyer must be working full-time in the occupation that they currently hold that license or certification. So it sounds like I'm picking on my wife here, but I'm not. My wife is a teacher. She has a certificate as a teacher, but my wife has stepped away from teaching. she is currently not working full-time in the occupation that she holds the license and certification. So if your buyer is not currently working full-time in the occupation that they hold the license or certification, they will not qualify. Okay, I'll give you another example. You have a retired teacher. Is the teacher working full-time in the occupation that they hold the license and certification? No, they're retired. So a retired individual who is in that eligible occupation would not qualify. And remember, way back in the beginning, I said a bicycle seat for two. Think of Hometown Heroes as a bicycle seat for two. And in the front seat are these eligible occupations. But don't forget who's in that back seat, which is a veteran. Okay. So the veteran or active military or a spouse of a widow, or excuse me, widow of a deceased veteran also qualify for the Hometown Heroes. Can the veteran be retired? Yes, because the veteran is different than the eligible occupation. We don't care about the retirement of the veteran. It's in the back seat. They can be working, they can't be working, they could be on disability, all that other stuff, but it is separate. So 2 seats up front, eligible occupation in which your buyer holds a current active license and certification, okay, and they're working in that job full time, in which Tim and the entire Van Dyke team will send out the verification of employment that must come back from the employer indicating they're working full time. All right. So this is the attestation form. I'm showing it to you, but again, Tim's responsibility, but just let you know how quick and easy this form is. They fill out their name. They put the property address being purchased. It says here, are you working full-time or part-time? So if Tim sees they sign part-time, are they eligible? No, they're not. License or certificate number, and then the industry, the agency that is issuing the license or certification. You're going to find out that the agency is the state of Florida agency is what's being accepted. So as I mentioned to you before, the buyer must get the first mortgage in order to get the down payment assistance with Florida Housing. We do require a minimum credit score of 640, and homebuyer education is required. Now, the homebuyer education, I'll be giving the flyer to Tim to give to you guys. Here's my statement to you. The education we have available, it is self-paced. So if your buyer was watching Stranger Things season 4, it's 2:00 in the morning, they still have a half a bag of Doritos left, and they want to go ahead and do the education, they can sign in, start the education, stop the education, so forth. They must complete the education before the loan closes. Now, your buyer may say, you know what, I did education with the local county or city program. So we will accept any HUD-approved education up to 2 years prior. So I'm looking for my phone here. Today's date is Wednesday, June 29th of 2022. So if your buyer completed the education on June 29th of 2020 or after, we will accept that education. All right. The borrower must be working full-time in the occupation they hold the license and certification. We already talked about that. And only one of the borrowers is required to be in that occupation. So if you have a husband and wife and one is eligible occupation, one's not, they qualify. Only one of those borrowers need to be in there. Now, I told you that the TBA product does that have that flexibility that the loan officer can remove a borrower off the application to get the income below the income limit. Remember me saying that? However, that the individual who stays on that application must be the individual who is working full-time in the occupation in which they hold the license and certification. And of course, yes, sir, Tim.
Hey, just a couple, two questions coming in, and then one comment for myself. Just want to make sure everyone on the call remembers. I appreciate Mark mentioning Tim a lot. Remember, a Van Dyke mortgage loan officer may have invited you. Get with them on these questions as well. But we have 2 questions here. Anna has, what if the person is a principal at a school?
Yeah, so I'm not going to go into the individual occupations. I'm going to show you where to go. I will tell you a principal is not eligible, but we will be consumed with all the different questions, and I'll show you where to go to look at those. We're going to get to that in a second. And then if they're looking at the eligible occupations, they're like, you know what, I'm not sure if this is this or this is that, you're going to send an email to dpa@floridahousing.org. But we've done this class probably 30 times now, and we will sit here for 3 hours asking about occupations, and I'll tell you where to go for that.
No, I can tell you went through this once or twice already. So
yeah, absolutely.
Do your thing, man.
All right, thank you. All right, so again, if your buyer doesn't meet that eligible occupation, again, Van Dyke Mortgage and the entire loan officer team can advise you of the other programs that are available to the buyers. All right. So, Mark, what type of properties are eligible? Well, single family condos, and everybody knows that the condo must be an approved condo. So, if you're doing an FHA mortgage, it must be an FHA approved condo and so forth. 2 to 4 units, the buyer must live in one of those units as their primary residence, and the down payment on that is 5%, and the buyer must have 3% of their own funds. And I did check earlier. Van Dyke Mortgage does do mobile and modular homes, so that's a new product for us, ladies and gentlemen. We have over 240 approved lenders, and not all of them do mobile and modular home. So it's awesome that Van Dyke does it. Just remember, the minimum credit score is 680. Let me take out my little drawing tool here. 680, and it must be a double wide if it's a mobile home, okay? And it must be in existence. So we're not doing new mobile home or new modular homes in that regards. And the Van Dyke team can help you out with that. Tim, I need to ask you a question. Do you guys do construction perm loans?
Well, no, we do not do that. Not with this product.
Right. No, but in general, do you do construction perm?
Yeah, we have one option. Yes.
Okay, great. So anyway, we do have townhomes and then construction and loans. So I'm going to talk about construction and loans in a moment.
Mark, can we pause real quick on that double wide though?
Absolutely.
Just to make sure they have to own their own land, right?
Yes. And I do apologize. It is mobile home and land and modular home and land.
Okay. Is there a year built for that? Like
1976 or after?
So it's FHA rules.
Yeah, FHA rules. Yeah, because we have FHA or Fannie Mae.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So construction ed loan, and you guys, your different parts of Florida. This is where you see the builder comes in, they buy out the land, they clear out the land, they lay the infrastructure, the sewer, the streets, the water, and then they build a couple model homes. Heck, they may even start on a spec home because things are so hot. And so you take your buyer through, they're excited. It's a new home. You walk through the model home, and then the buyer picks out a floor plan. They choose a lot. They go through the upgrades for the flooring and the kitchen and everything else. They sign a contract for purchase. They give the builder a earnest money deposit, and the builder starts construction on that house. And no time during that period of time does the buyer have to make any additional payments to the builder. The house is built, you go to closing, and the buyer gets the keys. That is a construction end loan. Our program is eligible under that. The construction perm loan is where your buyer gets approved. The buyer picks a builder. The builder gets approved. Then the buyer sits down with the builder. They do the floor plans and the upgrades, and then they go to a dry closing. At the dry closing, the builder gets a 10% draw, and then as the house is being built, the builder asks for additional draws, and they get funded the money to build the house. Now, during construction, your buyer will be making interest-only payments on that loan until the house is completed. That is called a construction perm loan, and we do not have down payment assistance for construction perm loans. And since we're talking about construction, we do not have a rehab product, just to let you know. So there's no FHA 203K. So all these properties are eligible. And again, the Van Dyke team can get you access through all this stuff here. All right, so the homebuyer education I will be given to Tim to send out to you is a flyer, but here is my statement to you very quickly. My background, I was a state certified appraiser in Orlando for 11 years. For 7 of those 11 years, I was a real estate broker and then mortgage manager at different credit unions for 19 years. So I'm giving you this tip as if I were a real estate agent today. Even though you're going to get this flyer, do not advise your buyer to complete the homebuyer education until when your loan officer at Van Dyke Mortgage has told you which program your buyer is getting. See, I told you that the buyer will get the first mortgage with Florida House in order to get the down payment assistance. But if your buyer is eligible for the local city and the county DPA, and your loan officer can get you access to those funds, those local city and county, well, they want your buyer to complete their homebuyer education. They're not going to accept this education. So the last thing I want you to do is give the flyer the homebuyer education. They did the pre-qual tonight with Van Dyke Mortgage, and then your loan officer, because you didn't talk to the loan officer calls you back and tomorrow says, hey, we're getting the first mortgage with Florida Housing in order to get the down payment assistance, but your buyer's also eligible for these local programs. And here you've given the flyer to the buyer. They do the class online, and then you tell them you have to take another class with the local city and county. You just don't want to do that. So please wait until your loan officer has advised you which down payment assistance your buyer's obtaining before you advise them to take the class. All right. And let me go ahead on to the next slide. So this is the team here at Florida Housing. Chip White is my boss. Sandy Smith, she's the program manager. Sandy is actually one that's heading up the occupations. And there's my email address here. And so if you have any questions on eligible occupations, we actually created an email address, a group email address. It was great at the time, and it's working out. But I could just tell you that, for example, this weekend, I have 70 voicemails from people that have called over the weekend. I can't even tell you how many emails are coming in. We're responding as quickly as possible to the email. So you can say, Mark, I have our principals eligible, and I'll show you where to go. But let's just say you're looking at the job description. You go, you know what? It could be this, it could be that. I'm not 100% sure. And the key is, do they hold a license or certification for that job? So I've had a janitor at a school. Is a janitor at a school qualify? Well, does a janitor have a license or certification to be a janitor at the school? No, they don't. And they're not on the list. They're not going to qualify. But anyway, you can send an email to dpa@floridahousing.org, and then the first person available will respond back to you to let you know what the answer is. However, again, because of the amount of emails, please give us 24 hours at least to respond, and voicemails are even worse than that. I think we're up to 48 hours on voicemail calls. All right. So let me go show you where you need to go. And I'll jump out of this presentation here and discard. And I'm going to take you to the website. So the website here is at floridahousing.org. That is our main landing page. Let me make sure that you guys can see this. So
Mark, I also did drop the eligible occupation link in the chat as well, if people wanted that.
Great. And we'll go over that as well. So as soon as you get to floridahousing.org, scroll down, and then this is the Florida Housing Heroes landing page. And again, that's where you want to go. If you scroll down a little bit further, you're going to see you're going to see two links here. Okay. And actually there's a video here. If you ever wanted to, you can open this video on YouTube. You can copy and paste that video to your social media. That's there. But here's where I want to show you this. See where it says eligible occupations last updated on June 13th. This is where you want to go. The loan officers have a different place to go for them, but this is where you want to go. And my statement to you is, when you come here, right mouse click, and you're going to open up a new tab. And I'll go to that tab in a second. The tab that you're going to get is a PDF. Ladies and gentlemen, we say the same thing to the loan officers. Do not save this PDF. Because I can tell you right now, there's a couple more occupations that are about to be dropped in. And if you save this PDF to your desktop and you have a buyer that calls tomorrow and we update this tomorrow and you're looking at an old occupation, you're going to tell somebody no, okay, when the next date's approved. So come here, open it up, look at the PDF, okay? And then after you look at the PDF, close it. And the next time you need to, come back to the link here and open up the occupation. So if you don't know about a PDF, one of the cool things about a PDF is that you can do Control F. And when you do Control F, it opens up a box in the upper right-hand corner. Hopefully you guys can all see this up here. Let me go ahead and circle it. It's right here. So one of the things you can do is you can go ahead and type in a term. You can type in, for example, I'm not picking on you guys, but when we do the loan officer class, they go, are loan officers eligible? So I'll type in loan officer, and you're going to see here it says 0 out of 0. So I'm not picking on you. Are realtors an eligible occupation? Because we all work during the pandemic. Realtors are not an occupation. Okay, I'm picking on you, but I'm not. Anyway, so the fewer words you type in, the better. So for example, we'll talk about a dentist. Okay, well, do I type in dental Or do I type in dentist? Well, I'm going to just type in DENT, just a couple of the words. You're going to see here that dentist is listed, right? And then if I click again down to the next arrow, you're going to come up to dental hygienist. So if you typed in dentist, you wouldn't have seen dental hygienist or dental assistant. So sometimes you just have to type in just a couple words. So, here's teacher. All right. So classroom teacher. Now, somebody already asked about principals. You don't see principal in here or assistant principal in here, but classroom teacher, and everything's listed here. Now, the header is the occupation, then the state of Florida government agency that issues that license, and where the buyer can go to get a copy of their license. But you guys are real estate agents and we have loan officers here. You know where to go to get a copy of your license. They know where to go, but if for some reason they don't know where to go, this here is the link where they have to go. So if this license or certification that you're staring at, and again, this is the responsibility of the loan officer, if it's not issued by the governor of Florida state agency, it's not going to be accepted. So again, I joked around earlier, but someone gave us a Florida driver's license because they thought we were talking about driver's license. We've seen someone sent in their continuing education certificate. Okay, is the continuing education certificate a copy of their license? No, you guys take CE classes all day long. That does not replace your broker's or sales license or loan officer license, okay? So it must be issued, again, from these agencies. We do not accept Jim Bob's license and certification internet providers, all right? Anything off of the internet in regards to those type of companies, it must be issued by these government agencies, all right? So it's all here. This is the link you want to go to. And as you're looking at these occupations, please look at them. And then again, if you're not quite sure, you can go ahead and from these occupations. And if you have a question, where do you go? You're going to go ahead and send an email to DPA@floridahousing.org, because you're going to send that email and say, hey, Mark, I got a question. I have a janitor at a school. Are they eligible? All right. And then you'll get a response back coming that way. The other thing that we're going to show you here as I switch to my, one second here, switch to my screen. I'm going to just make it easier and do my screen. Is let me go back to the website and you're going to see the income and purchase price limits. And then Tim, I didn't ask, which county do you guys serve? I know you guys have different branches here. So
we're the for this case, we serve every county that's on that list.
Right. But just right now in your geographic.
Lee County is our main.
All right. So I'll just come down to Lee County. So you're going to see 3 headers here. And this income limits, you guys can save this, but I'll be honest with you, once again, this is the responsibility of the Van Dyke team to make sure your buyers are at or below the income limits, but I'll show it to you anyway. So in our normal program, we have what we call purchase price limits, but we don't have purchase price limits for this program. We have loan limits. So if your buyer gets an FHA or USDA loan, as I scroll down here to Lee County, you're going to see that the loan limit is $426.80. All right, for FHA and for a USDA loan. Now, conventional and VA, it goes up to $647.2. So here's an unusual statement. We don't look at the assets, okay? So if your buyer's in Lee County and they make an offer on a property and the purchase price is $526.80, well, they're going to have to put down $100,000 to get the loan below the loan limits, all right? And then for the conventional and the VA, it's $647.2. So I was in a lender training class last week, and I'm listening to Chip, my boss, talk, and he goes, hey, loan officers, we don't care if your buyer has $2 million. If they qualify for the down payment assistance, they just got to get that loan below these loan limits, okay? Now, normally, let's just say they don't qualify for Hometown Heroes and you're in one of our other programs. They do have purchase price limits in which the contract for purchase must be at or below those purchase price limits. And Van Dyke and the entire team can let you know what the purchase price limits are for the counties that you guys work in. Now, the income limit here shown for Lee County is $120,600. And remember, I mentioned you have a husband and wife, they make 1 penny more, they make $120,600 and a penny, they would not qualify. But if they remove one of those buyers off the application and get the application below the 120,600 or at or below the 120,600, your buyer would qualify. But the buyer that remains must be what? Must be the veteran or the active military or the widow of a veteran, or in the front seat of that 2-seat bicycle, the individual who holds the eligible occupation in which they work full time, in which they currently have an active license or certification. Okay, so those are the two main links here that you're going to want to go ahead and review. And then again, when it comes to income limits and purchase price limits, the entire Van Dyke team can help you guys out at that particular moment. So I'm trying to think. I think going back to the presentation here, I just will go ahead and pull up the slide here so you guys can see. Obviously, I put on here who you're going to call, right? Where do I find my approved loan officer? Again, the Van Dyke Mortgage has a large number, probably one of the larger number of approved loan officers with our program. And then let me go ahead and erase that little John Madden sketch there. And then in addition here, if you have any questions, you can reach out to any of us here at Florida Housing. Again, you'll get this entire presentation, but the main email address is at dpa@floridahousing.org. And that's all I got, Tim, unless you have any questions.
No, I will open it up to questions here. I think first off, thank you for being on here. That was awesome, especially coming from a voice that knows what they're talking about, and you do it all day. So thank you for being on. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
If anyone has questions, we can open it up. Just if you want to hit, just raise your hand if you know how to do that, and I can unmute you, or just type it in the chat. I did have one question. Do the realtors need to have any kind of training in our area?
Right. So in all of our programs, here's the statement I'm going to make to you. You are not required to complete any training. However, I will give Tim to send out to you guys the recording of the Hometown Heroes training that we did. And honestly, that is just what we did. We just did this entire product training that I did for the realtors. I've done over 20 classes for. So you're a little bit more informed. However, we teach a class. It's called Affordable Housing, What Every Realtor Should Know. And I will send the link or give you the link directly to this. We don't charge a penny to teach the class. Okay. We don't charge a penny at all. We teach the class through your local board of realtors. There's 50 board of realtors in the state of Florida. And we ask your board to go ahead and allow us to teach the class. They're virtual classes, so they're done online. All right. Now, underneath our home buyer program wizard, we have a button that says Find a Realtor. And the button says that these are real estate professionals who have completed our course called Affordable Housing, What Every Realtor Should Know. And when you complete the course, you will then be added on to that homebuyer wizard. That is where the majority of the public is going to get this training. So we get 4.91 out of 5 stars for the class. The number one comment from this class, because we do a post-class survey, is, oh my God, this training should be required of every realtor who has a license. Haven't been a real estate broker today. Haven't been a real estate broker in the 90s. If I was a real estate broker today, all of you would be required to take this class if you work for me. Okay. And the second thing I'll make a point to you, and I'm not saying that Van Dyke does this, but we've had loan officers tell us they don't want to work with realtors who have not taken the class because they don't have the time to teach the realtors about how these programs work. And we've heard that. And so, but that being said, here's my statement to you. You are a buyer. As a buyer, do you want to work with a real estate agent who goes off by the seat of their pants, doesn't know about these programs like they should, or a realtor who has taken 3 hours of education to learn about affordable housing? We talk about the city and the county and the state programs. And my statement to you again is this is something I would encourage you to take. Now, you can come on here and scroll through and look for your board of realtors. If they are not listed here, we encourage you to reach out to your local board and say, hey, when are you guys going to offer this affordable housing, what every realtor should know? Okay. And then you can take a class from another board of realtors that's listed to here. So we actually have a class on, and it's going to be posted today or tomorrow. We actually have a class on July 6th. The classes are filling up. That is with East Polk County Association of Realtors. So Melody Cassie. You can send her an email, say, hey, Melody, I'm a member of another board of realtors. I would love to take the class, or any of these board of realtors here. Some of them may charge a fee, okay, because you're not a member, and others do not charge a fee. So reach out and then see if you can get into any of those classes. But no, you're not required to have a certification to be able to offer this class. When you attend the CE class that we teach, we do give you a logo that shows that you've completed the class.
Mark, I know you got one coming up for Lee County too that's on there, because they told me about it. And on that note, if anyone has an office where they want someone to come in live, us Van Dyke Mortgage Loan Officers, we're happy to do that. So we can't do the CEs and do all that fun stuff for you, but we can come in and help with it.
Yeah, and let me pull up I'm going to pull up my spreadsheet here, because what happens is the board of realtors must sign an agreement before we post it. So looking really quickly here at my schedule, I have July 6th, East Polk County, July 12th, Lake City, and then we mentioned Lee County. I got to find the date for Lee County.
That was the Royal Palm, I think.
Yeah, the Royal Palm. Okay, that's on July 14th.
Yeah.
In July as well. So there's a couple classes here that are about to get posted that we just haven't received the form back. But just check your local board of realtors, so you can see the different dates coming up. This is the busiest classes. I got 6 classes each week in the month ahead. So there's plenty of classes coming up that you guys can attend. And again, here's the difference between the presentation. So the difference between East Polk and Royal Palm Coast is East Polk, there are 6 slides where we talk about the income limits and the purchase price limits for Polk County versus the income limits and purchase price limits for Lee County. If you attended the Polk County class, after the class, you can send an email saying, hey, can you please give me the income limits and purchase price limits for Lee County, and we'll send that to you after the class. So just 6 slides are the only differences between all these classes. Otherwise, the presentation is the same.
Hey, Mark, just a couple more things here. One is we are going to email this whole presentation to everybody. Mark's cool enough to give us the slides, so we will make sure everyone has that. I know Mary Kay just asked me about it. Does anyone else have any other questions? I have one. If you do, raise your hand. We can unmute you or just put it in the chat. But rate locks, Mark, do you want to go over that with us on when they can lock in the rate?
Well, on all contract for purchases, you guys can't lock in the rate until when? Until you get a fully executed contract for purchase. Mm-hmm. So the lender has to deliver the loan within 60 days to be purchased in that regards. And I would reach out. Yeah, I mean, you guys can answer this question. Obviously, in our program, you guys originate, process, underwrite, fund the first mortgage, fund the down payment assistance, and so forth. And so the turnaround time for these products is based on what you guys have handled internally, but we do a 60-day rate lock. And of course, there's extensions to that, but we do have a 60-day rate lock. But reach out to your loan officer to find out when if you got a pre-qualification from Tim today and you had to buy or shop in this weekend, there should really be no extra days added to the contract for purchase for these programs. Because we're not here at Florida Housing, we don't look at the loan until the loan closes.
Yeah. And again, having the loan fully underwritten will help you out a ton with that. So we're happy to help. But Mark, I don't see any other questions really popping up. Oh, wait, here's another one. Married couple. Only one is a hometown hero. Do they qualify the program? Yes.
Yes. Yep. Only one needs to be eligible or a veteran. So yeah, we get that question a lot. Like, here's another one I got. You'll love this one because I love the way you guys think. Both the husband and wife are eligible occupation. Does that mean they get 10% and go up to $50,000 or they can buy 2 houses? No, it's 5% max, whether you have 1 or 2. But that was a great question we got in the class. That
Mark, we're all salespeople, man. We're always looking for an angle.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yes, sir.
So, well, hey, I appreciate it, Mark. You guys keep an eye out for him out there. We'll get this presentation out to everybody as well. If you do have any questions or concerns, get with that Van Dyke Mortgage Loan Officer that invited you. We really appreciate it, y'all being on here. Thank you very much. And again, if you need anything, just reach out to that Van Dyke Mortgage Loan Officer. We'll be happy to help. And then Mark, hey, thanks again, bud. Appreciate it, man.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for inviting me. And again, if I can help anybody, let me just make 2 quick comments.
Yeah.
On behalf of all the buyers that all of you guys are going to help, thank you for learning about our program.
Amen.
And I encourage you highly. Yes, I work for the State Housing Finance Agency. Learn about your local city and county programs. We've helped 12,585 families purchase a home in the last 3 years. On average, we close 13 loans a day. That's going to triple here. I mean, you already saw the number of reservations coming in, but thank you about learning about these programs. Again, look for your local, and very simply, without the entire Van Dyke team, without all you guys as far as real estate agents, if there's no down payment assistance programs or loans being done, well, we don't have a job here. So Chip, Sandy, Natalie, and myself will always say, let us know how we can make you be successful in this program. And don't hesitate at all to give me a call or send me an email if you have any questions we can help you out with. Cool. And thank you for inviting me today.
No, Mark, love it, man. Appreciate you. Any changes, let us know. We'll have you back on, okay?
Yep. Thanks again, Tim. Take care,
All right,
everybody.
everyone.
Have a great day.